Today's video is on the top 5 amazing circular worlds.
Number 5. Space Station 5, 2001: A Space Odyssey. 2001: A Space Odyssey was a seminal moment in science fiction and was way ahead of its time in terms of design and the depths of its story when it was released in 1968. In the movie, by 2001, humans had built a number of structures in space, the largest of which was Space Station 5. This rotating wheel space station was used as a transfer point for those traveling from the Earth to the Moon or other planets in the solar system, and was crucial to exploration beyond Earth's orbit. The spinning of the station created artificial gravity on board, and it contained a Hilton hotel for those passing through, a luxury restaurant, a series of lounge areas, and public picture phone booths, which were early imaginations of video calls. The movie was hailed for its scientific accuracy, and Space Station 5 was no exception. When, one day, we finally build a structure in space that's accessible to people other than trained astronauts, it's possible that it'll look quite like Stanley Kubrick and his team imagined it. Number 4. Dyson Sphere, Star Trek. In the Star Trek: The Next Generation episode entitled Relics, the Enterprise encountered a Dyson Sphere, which is a monumental structure that was suggested in a 1937 novel called Star Maker, but became popularized by a paper written in 1960 by Freeman Dyson. The basis of this type of megastructure is that advanced civilizations require exponentially more energy to develop. If this continued, then eventually the demands would require the complete energy output of a sun, and the only way to harness this would be to construct a structure that fully encapsulates it. If this structure, as it was in the Star Trek episode, reaches out as far as the orbit of a habitable planet, then, in theory, people would be able to live on the inner surface, and they would be able to harvest as much energy, light, and warmth as they need. Of course, this would be an incredibly complex thing to build and would require more material than is present on the Earth itself. Suggestions have been put forward on how to build one, which includes automated robots that can harvest asteroids and planetary debris from around the star and convert it into panels that can fit together. If done right, even a particularly built Dyson Sphere could provide somewhere to live and start producing power, so it would soon become self-sustaining. We're quite a way off having the technology to do this, though, but it's possible another species of intelligent life has already done so somewhere else in the universe. Number 3. The Citadel, Mass Effect. Since the release of the first game in 2007, Mass Effect redefined what we expect from science fiction video games, as it introduced us to Commander Shepard and the battle to prevent the Reapers from taking over the galaxy. In the game's lore, the Milky Way contained a vast network of mass relays that were used to travel vast distances. Soon after discovering these, the Asari found a large space station at the junction of a number of mass relays, which became known as the Citadel. It became the political and cultural hub of Citadel space, and was where the allied species had their embassies to ensure they were in constant contact with each other. Consisting of a central ring that's just under 4.5 miles in diameter, and with 5 protruding arms that are 27 miles long, the station is gigantic. It's so big, in fact, that there's room inside for a massive park-like complex called the Presidium, which has the Citadel Tower at the center of it, and several wards which are full of skyscrapers. Ultimately, in the game, the Citadel took on an even more important role in the fight against the Reapers. So little had been known about it, and in the final battle, it turned out that the Catalyst, which was the intelligence that controlled the Reapers, was on board the Citadel all along. Number 2. Elysium. Neil Blomkamp has been responsible for pushing the boundaries of science fiction movie making in the past 10 years, with District 9 and Chappie. But it was 2013's Elysium, starring Matt Damon and Jodie Foster, that imagined what a future Earth and an orbiting space station could look like. In the film, human society has been fractured. Those who haven't managed to accumulate enough wealth are consigned to living on a planet where life is tough and food is in short supply, while those who are fortunate to be rich enough instead live in a space station called Elysium, where everything they could possibly want is catered for. Built at the end of the 21st century, the megastructure assigns an acre of land to each family that lives there, with a total habitable area of almost 100 square miles. citizens are given an option of 11 different layouts for their mansions, which are serviced by robots, and the structure has an artificial environment and gravity, protective shields, and a shuttle bay to allow transport between it and Earth. Blomkamp based the design of Elysium on the Stanford Torus, a proposed NASA space habitat design from 1975 that could house as many as 140,000 permanent residents. In Elysium, though, the numbers of inhabitants is far less in order to give them enough room to live in comfort, and there's also granted access to far more advanced technologies than the poor people on Earth. A permanently orbiting structure like this, in theory, completely feasible. We're just quite a far way from having the technology to be able to do so. One day, though, when we're able to send much larger payloads into space and have automated vehicles to piece it together, something like Elysium could actually become a reality. Number 1. Halo Array. The first Halo game was released in 2001 and quickly went on to become one of the highest profile sci-fi shooters ever. It has since gone on to spawn 13 sequels, with more in the pipeline. And the name of the game is in reference to the Halo Array, which is a network of massive ring-shaped superweapons. Each ring was located in different parts of the galaxy, but could be triggered to act together and cause mass destruction. Known as the Sacred Rings by the enemy of the game, the Covenant, the first was built around 98,445 BCE under the order of Master Builder Faber, with the intent that it would be such a powerful weapon that the builders would take on a prominent role in society. As well as being weapons, the Halo Rings became research stations and habitable structures that gave the chance to repopulate the galaxy if needed. In total, 18 were constructed, 12 of which were older and larger, and 6 of which were much more compact. The newer Halos are approximately the same size as Earth at more than 6,200 miles across, but the originals were more than 3 times that size. Gravity is provided on the rings thanks to artificial gravity generators, so they aren't required to spin like other designs. They were also built with a limited self-repair capability and could shed sections to reduce the overall size if the damage was too severe. The Halos had hard light reinforcement to protect them against tidal and gravitational forces from other objects, and they were put in orbit around large planets, typically gas giants, to serve as gravitational anchors. Inside are terrestrial surfaces designed to support species, and they contain advanced control rooms and cartographer facilities to monitor and keep track of how they are changing. There are drive engines installed along the rings to allow the entire structure to move to avoid collisions, and they contain teleportation grids that allow a user to instantaneously move between any section. As one of the largest and most powerful structures ever conceived, it's no wonder that the Halo franchise has become so popular. Honorable Mentions. 360-degree panorama of Cornwall. With the advent of drones, mirrorless cameras, and inventive lens designs, photographers and videographers are able to achieve effects that look unbelievable. Take this video, for example, where the footage collected from a drone has been stitched together to form an unusual 360-degree panorama. And then, the camera motion has been simulated to make it feel like you're flying. It shows Cornwall in the UK in a completely different light. And it actually feels like this is a circular world where gravity works in reverse. The sky ends up looking like a floating orb with the rest of the world curled around it, almost making it seem like we're living on the inside of a giant cylinder. Stereographic projection cities. Another camera effect can be used to make images the other way around. Known as stereographic projection, it takes aerial photography and pieces the images together to create circular cityscapes that incorporate hundreds of miles of landscape into each picture. These images were created over 8 years and were gathered by a variety of means, such as with helicopters, planes, hot air balloons, helium balloon, and drones. They show cities like New York in a way you've never seen before, and really emphasize the landmarks that are so familiar from the skylines.
I hope you all enjoyed today's video, narrated by Zach this time. Be sure to subscribe for more and check out some of our recent uploads.